Thank you for joining us on Urban Reality. I'm Manisha Natarajan, and it's a pleasure to be back with you on this very first episode of 2018. Today, we're going to keep it simple. What does 2018 hold for you if you're a home buyer or if you're an investor who loves dabbling in property? So let's dive in and seek answers to three big questions. Will 2018 give exit opportunities and better prices to stuck property investors, those who have been waiting patiently to get some returns on their capital invested? Our second big question, why are stock market investors so gung-ho about realty companies? Not just realty companies, but stocks, of course, in 2018. Remember, realty index has already clocked a 100% return in the year gone by, and yet you have brokerage houses saying the best is still to come. And 2017 was all about affordable housing. We know that continues well into 2018. But what else? Is there any other big theme to watch out for in 2018? Joining me today on the show are the best and the biggest voices of the industry. Let's welcome Rajiv Talwar, Chairman Director and CEO DLF. Also with us, Niranjan Hiranandani, co-founder and MD Hiranandani Group, Irfan Razak, CMD Prestige Group, and Anish Puri, Chairman at Anarock Property Consultants. Gentlemen, thank you very much and a very happy new year to you. All right, let me begin with the first question. Now, it's not just investors, but even developers who are hoping for a price revival in 2018. So, let me ask you, Mr. Talwar, you, of course, are in that market which gave fantastic returns to investors before 2017, though, Gurgaon. What is happening now? That is also a market where you have maximum number of investors stuck in. Asking me this question, Manisha, when can we sell our property and hope to make some money?
Okay, Manisha, first of all, to your entire team at CNBC, to you, and to your viewers, a very, very happy new year. And next, to Mr. Hiranandani, Mr. Razak and Anuj, wish them and their families equally a happy new year. Then to answer your question, investors are undoubtedly very important. They keep the market afloat. But I think the people at large and the government have already realized that yes, over the last 5 or 6 years, prices have gone down by as much as 25 to 30%. Therefore, whether we want people to get returns, there will be definitely traction in the market as the economy improves and gallops. And I'm sure 2018 would have greater traction than 2017. There would be therefore definitely good news for investors in stocks, for investors in homes. But it is also true that the larger supply which is kicking in will keep prices at a moderate level, very, very investable. And I really don't know whether we should be looking out that investors who had purely invested for the sake of making some money should be able to make very high returns. There will be select pockets, very good properties which will come into the market and which will give higher returns. But by and large, I think larger supplies would maintain a moderate price level which will be highly affordable to everyone in their own segment.
Okay,
I'll await the views of my learned friends who are on the panel also.
Okay, let me ask Mr. Hiranandani then. Mr. Hiranandani, what do you think? 2018, will investors get an exit and get an exit with a reasonable return? I mean, last 3 years have been fairly disappointing for them.
If last 2 weeks are any indication to me, I find that there is a huge demand in the case of ready properties where GST is not applicable. So what the buyers are doing, they are waiting for the buildings to get occupation certificates, and that is definitely making a huge difference in the incentivization to get the people to buy the properties and for the investors to actually dispose of them. So two things have definitely happened in the last 2 weeks as I see it. Ready properties are going left, right and center. Huge demand has taken place. At least our overall per day sales has increased double. In some days we have even had triple the number of sales, and the ready properties are really going very, very fast. Under construction properties are getting sold at the time of starting of the properties of those people who are very confident of the developers and others, but not the others. But in the last 6 months or 8 months of the building being completed, where the builders say that it will be completed in, say, June, then the sale is starting again, and many of them are saying, let's wait till the properties don't have to pay GST, and that's the time when I will like to clock the sales. So postponement of those buildings where it's almost to be completed, but to us, lots of traction.
Okay. Mr. Razak, what's your own take on this matter? What I'm hearing is that definitely sales have started for ready properties. So anybody who bought at early stage is very likely to find a buyer if he's already got the property under fully constructed. But what's your take? Have prices started appreciating just a little bit or not yet at all?
Now, you asked about the exit for investors. I believe that it all depends on what levels the investors have gotten. I would say for an investor, see, not the stock market where you can buy today either make a short-term loss or a short-term profit. Real estate is definitely illiquid, but then it does give multiple returns. All you need to have capital. As long as you have the patience and patient capital, the returns will be multifold. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
And like my friend Niranjan said, case have picked up. There's no doubt about it. It's an ongoing process. You have the highs, you have the lows, you have the back at certain times. But if our pricing is sensible and we have developers, and if you are able to slowly take this up, not by not, I think all benefits, including the developer, the investor, the buyer.
Okay.
Net, I would always, this is my mantra, that as a seller, I'm always a loser, and as a buyer, whoever buys, always a winner, because at some point of time, the price and always keeps increasing. It may not happen for a year, it may not happen for 2 years, but it does happen, and when it does happen, it does take a high jump. It's just about the confidence.
And the patience. So I think the patience is running thin, Anushpuri, and that's what one is wondering. You look at new launches coming down and you wonder when will the equilibrium come back between the oversupply and the demand situation. What's your take?
So Manisha, first of all, a very happy new year to you and everybody else. And I do agree with what the co-panelists are saying. Two things that I would add to your first question. That, would the investors have the benefit or the buyers have a benefit of exiting at a high in 2018? The first is that it'll depend on city to city. I think is for someone in Noida, perhaps not, because there was a huge amount of inventory sold by the developers to investors. Unless those investors really who have bought it in bulk are able to exit that inventory, you're not going to start to see the price rise happening. The second is, exactly to the point that what you were saying is that the launches have come down. Whilst the sales activity may not have picked up, the launches have dramatically come down. On an average, we were seeing 60,000 units per quarter getting launched. We're at 22,000 units per quarter. So really that is 1/3 of the activity. So even if the sales remains lackluster, your launches have come down dramatically, which means that the supply has come down. My guess is by the end of 2018 as a calendar year, you're going to start to see that the price rise in some of these cities will happen because the unsold inventory, what Niranjan Bhai said is getting consumed of completed apartments very quickly. And that's where we are starting to see that the sign of first momentum increase in sales volume. Actually, October, November, December, all 3 months have been very good for majority of the developers. And going forward, new launches continue to remain subdued. That's where you're going to start to see demand going up and the supply coming down.
Very pointed question.
I feel
very pointed question. Should the investors, should the investors moderate their expectations now? Because most of them say, look, 10% is what, at least let's hope for 10%. Earlier we were expecting 18%. Now we've moderated our return expectations to 10%. Should they be moderating it even further? And I'm talking only property.
I think, as Manisha, 2018 still will not be a year for investors. I don't think it'll be a year for residential investment to be done still in 2018. I still think it's a year for end users, not really for speculators. I think investors should certainly look at commercial property. I think yields are very good. Some of the new segments like the warehousing, senior living, student housing, but I still feel is on the residential, a pure speculator getting in or even an investor getting in 2018 probably is not the right year for them to get in. I still think it is an end user market and will continue to remain throughout the calendar year of 2018.
Okay, then let me come to the second question. Mr. Talwar, why are stock markets so gung-ho about realty stocks? Even in 2018, you have brokerage houses saying, look, this is also going to be a year for real estate stocks, despite the fact that the index has clocked 100% return. And of course, the DLF stock has done phenomenally well because of that big bumper deal of yours. What's going on? I mean, here you have a situation where new launches are dropping, your sales are moderate,
the deal of Asia.
but deal of Asia, correct. But I mean, if I look at the fundamentals of the business on the residential side, they still seem a bit shaky. So is the excitement because of office space and commercial side, or what is it that we're missing?
I think the stock market is really imposing its or reposing its confidence in this real estate, housing and construction industry. And I think that is the centerpiece of the economy, which accounts for a major kick up in the GDP growth as well as employment. And with the economy on a trot, yes, it is undoubtedly true that these stocks would do well. Individual companies can have individual reasons, which have been stated by Mr. Hiranandani and Mr. Razak. Similarly, what Anuj said, that really launches being very, very moderate at the moment. You must realize that RERA's kicked in. Therefore, all approvals need to be in place before you can launch a project. There are some like us who are saying that yes, we will not even launch a project till it is fully completed. And therefore, the inventory which is remaining with many of us is really at a premium. It's where the rush is coming in, as Mr. Hiranandani very correctly pointed out to you. And I think Mr. Razak's statement needs to be noted, that yes, it may not, it's never a year for the sellers, it's always a good time for the buyers. And this is really what is getting the confidence of the market back again, that good companies will get a kick up on this in the stocks and in the stock market, because it's a very, very sound investment. For a long term, just like property on a 5 to 10 year window is a very sound investment, so is the stock of good companies.
All right,
and I think that's going to be the near future or the year to see forward.
All right, but I need more answers. I mean, housing finance companies are doing very well. They continue to perform extremely well. 2018, lots of brokerage houses saying still a buy, real estate stocks. There's more to this story than just the fact that, you know, premium inventory is part of the bucket that companies hold, and they're going to find buyers in 2018. Let's slip into a break and come back and seek that answer. Well, we are saying goodbye to what can be mildly termed as a very eventful year for real estate, and we are welcoming 2018. So the focus of Urban Reality is what lies ahead. Anuj Puri, what is it? I mean, why are the markets so excited about real estate stocks? Yes, they were beaten down, and yes, things were not so bad. But, you know, there's still a buy out there on most of the good companies. What has fundamentally shifted other than RERA? We've already discussed RERA, but what has fundamentally shifted?
I think 5 things I would say, Manisha. The first is that much of the land holding that many of these listed developers have actually is far in greater value than the market cap of these companies, which is interesting that if you were to do analysis of just the land holding or the assets that they hold are far greater than what the market cap is. Second is these companies are the most ethical, follow transparency, financial prudence, governance. And this is what the market is respecting them for. Saying is that under RERA, there is going to be a huge amount of consolidation. You guys are going to benefit because a lot of the other developers who have not performed well and who have not delivered their commitment to the customers under RERA are likely to come to you and say is that please bail us out. Take our land on a joint venture, joint development, DM, and that's where you will be able to profit as a company and we will get bailed out under this. So that's the second thing. Third is that the office sector continues to do well. There is a huge amount of private equity that continues to chase. Fourth is there is a lot of transparency now. the way the financial accounts and going forward, the money that is being received from the buyers is going to be maintained in an escrow. And the fifth, I feel, is that affordable housing is going to be a big boost. And when we come to that question, we'll try and attempt to define what affordable housing means. But I feel is that is a big benefit that you're going to see in 2018, a huge momentum of sales happening on that segment.
And affordable housing, Mr. Hiranandani, are we overplaying this theme? Because Anuj has pretty much, summed up why everybody is so excited about the housing sector and real estate stocks. But are we not overplaying the theme of affordable housing? And is there a worry of an oversupply in that zone as well?
Not at all. I think it's underplayed. I think the scope in that is so big, and with the support of the government, giving infrastructure status, encouraging this segment for the purposes of housing, I think there's a great future in this segment. I think a lot of projects earlier were skewed towards the upper middle class and the rich class alone. I think this affordable segment is increasing the size of the pyramid in terms of what it is, and what has been said by one and all, as you can see, whether you are saying it through the stock market story, or I'm saying it about the finished goods being taken up, or Rajiv is saying it about what he is doing, and of course Irfan doing the magic in his place. What is all of us are really saying collectively is that there is traction. The traction in different places is different, but what you are saying is the scope in affordable housing big enough? My answer is, even if the growth was for 30 to 40% compounded per year, we would have less amount of affordable housing stock. But the problem is different. The problem is we don't spread it wide and thin. It grows into one sector, and only in one location you get all the products of the affordable housing sector. This needs to be spread now out. Even in Mumbai, you can't have it in one place, because it is spread out. You have it in Thane, you have it in Nanderi, you have it in MMR, you have it in Padvel, you have it in Karjat, you do it. But if you concentrate in one area alone,
you will have an oversupply.
This is an indefinite amount of, that will be an oversupply in pockets. So when you say, is there enough scope for affordable housing? My answer is fantastic. Is it okay only in Noida? The answer is no.
No. Okay. Let me ask Mr. Razak. I mean, Mr. Razak.
I said unlimited.
Unlimited. All right. I probably should not even be asking that question. But will 2018 not be the year, Mr. Razak, when the viability of affordable housing segment will be also tested?
Affordable is just basically that you can afford to buy your product. The target audience, whoever your target audience buyer, should be able to afford a decent shelter for health and get it in the required timeline. And with that, what really happens is you're creating an environment for the families that buy into property. And ultimately, you'll move away from urban slums to urban, good, decent residential with all the
Anuj, this is a line that I've actually taken from your year-end report, that the 2018 will be big for testing whether affordable housing has that pent-up demand that everybody seems to be putting their bets on. What's your take?
So it's a very good point, Manisha. The way that Niranjan Bhai and Irfan has defined affordable is exactly what I mean by that statement. Affordable housing is not that you give housing way beyond the city. I think that is being misunderstood, that you want to do affordable housing way beyond the city where there's no economic development, no infrastructure, no connectivity with the CBDs. Affordable housing means really remaining within the city and making it more affordable. And the way that you are going to be able to do it is not by bringing down per square foot price, but making the apartments much more efficient, much more productive, by making 1 bedroom, 1.5 bedrooms, studios, 2 bedrooms, which is where we are seeing majority of the developers. Even Niranjan Bhai, look at him, how he's done it in Powai. I mean, he's always done luxury and premium, and today he's doing affordable housing in Powai. Likewise in Andheri, where you're getting apartments of 1 bedroom at less than 1 crore.
Okay.
So clearly that is where we feel is that do not define affordable as something which is on the outskirts of the city, because it's going to be very difficult for people to be able to buy and then connect with the city. It has to be from within the city, where there's infrastructure, there's economic development, there's a social fabric around it, where you are going to make it more affordable. And the only way you can make it is by squeezing the size and making it more productive.
All right, that's an interesting one. So smaller houses, but more affordable. All right, Anuj, very quickly, we're running out of time or have run out of time. The big theme to watch out for in India's residential sector beyond affordable housing in 2018. And I'm going to go to all my panelists for that answer.
So first is Manisha, consolidation that you're going to see. Second is commercial will continue to do well. There will be new subsets of commercial. I believe warehousing and logistics you're going to see in a big way that is going to come up. And perhaps towards the periphery of the 2018, you will see senior living and student housing in there. Affordable housing, we've discussed, will continue to remain a theme. And I genuinely believe that at the end of 2018, you're going to start to see a lot of momentum of sales picking up, and perhaps in some segments, price rise starting to appear.
All right, so last quarter of 2018, Mr. Talwar, big theme of 2018 for DLF and beyond?
Not for DLF only. I think for the housing sector, the big theme is that, yes, what the word that you touched upon, viability. Now everyone's talking of efficiency very correctly. They're talking of smaller sizes. I think the big theme of 2018 will be the government and the urban local bodies to realize that plans should be pre-approved and able to be launched, because for affordable housing to be successful, the time gap between an application and final approval, which was extended to as much as 2 years, should be squeezed to pre-approved plans which can be launched immediately, is the numbers which will finally determine that yes, there's a huge upside to execution and to ownership or investment by either end users or by buyers who invest. I think that is the big theme for me and for housing in general in India for 2018.
All right. I wish I could go to my other panelists, but we have completely run out of time. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. And of course, I couldn't have asked for a better panel at the start of the year. So thank you for being here with us on CNBC TV 18. Well, we've sure left behind a year of disruption and radical policy reforms. Hopefully 2018 will be one of finding a stable center for India's housing market. Thank you very much for joining me. Goodbye.